My name is Samuel Washington, and I'm a licensed mental health counselor, a certified breathwork facilitator, and a Reiki master practitioner. I was trained by Anna, and that is through Fire and Spirit. And in my own unique way, I combine those as an offering, which I love to share with others. And so this is part of a series that we began a few months ago, and it's called the Integration Series for Embodiment and Conscious Living. And this particular session is entitled Embodiment and Becoming Our Authentic Selves. And so when we think about embodiment and we think about being our authentic selves, we have the opportunity to explore what that means. But rather than suggest that we're exploring what it means, I'd like to offer that we're exploring what it means to experience ourselves. So we're not just an idea, we're just not just a thought, we're actually here. And we have the opportunity to see ourselves and experience ourselves from that perspective. So embodiment is the practice of letting us know how to become who we are, again, not as a thought, but how we move, how we choose, how we speak, how we rest, how we be, so to speak. And knowing that that is grounded into who we are, so that what we present, perhaps at all times, remains who we are. We can be our authentic selves. Authenticity is not a performance. Authenticity is something that we feel internally. Sometimes we feel it as a sensation. Sometimes we experience it as a quiet knowing in our body what yes means, a knowing in our body what no means, and allowing ourselves to connect with that. And that gives us the ability to kind of get to know what that authentic self is or who that authentic self is, and and to explore how we can really embody or really embrace and be that authentic self. So that's what our focus will be on for this session. And what we will do is we will have a breathwork session. um, the music is wonderful, and it's a lot of drumming, and it's curated to really give us the opportunity to connect with ourselves. And while we're breathing, we'll be using conscious connected breathing, in which our in breath and our out breath are relatively the same length. There's no pause at the top or the bottom. And so if I were going to demonstrate it but exaggerate, it would be something like this. So it's an in breath and an out breath, an in breath and an out breath. And it's just a continuous breath. Again, no pause at the top of or the bottom of the breath. And I'll just briefly touch back on that as we begin to start. Um, Now, as we are kind of beginning the breath work, I want to just offer you the opportunity to move while you're breathing. Sometimes when we think about breath work, we think about being still, but I invite you to find a comfortable space, a comfortable way of either being seated or lying down, and just know that as we're doing this breath, you're not confined to a certain place. You can move. And the other thing that I invite you to do, if you have the ability to or would like to, is to vocalize. Vocalizing is a wonderful way for us also to get in contact with ourselves and to allow ourselves to express authenticity. So I invite you to vocalize in any way. As you're taking the conscious connected breath, and breathing in through your mouth and gently releasing, you might notice that a rhythm wants to present itself. You might want to hum along with the music. And that's all wonderful. That's all a part of what we have the opportunity to do. Okay. Now, the other thing that I'd like to share is that as we're doing this breathwork session, I will be sharing Reiki. And so Reiki is a wonderful way for us to notice and allow energy to flow. I love Reiki because as a Reiki practitioner, so to speak, I'm not doing, but I'm allowing. And that is the wonderful thing about Reiki. And so I just allow Reiki to flow. And I invite you to notice if there's a feeling of Reiki flowing, or just to just to know it is there, it's and to know its potential, and to just allow. It's an invitation, and if you'd like, Reiki will be flowing during this session. So we are about to begin. If there's anything that anyone would like to kind of say, or you can always add something to the chat. And but if not, let's begin. Our actual breath will be about a little bit less than 45 minutes, about 45 minutes today. And then after, we will have a brief opportunity to share, a brief opportunity for some integration. So as we're doing the breath, I will give you gentle guidance, and I just invite you to relax. Um, Perhaps close your eyes if you'd like, and allow the music to take you. Okay. Right. So I will begin now. When you're ready, I invite you to begin the conscious connected breathing, where your in breath and your out breath are relatively the same length, and there's no pause at the top or the bottom of the breath. I invite you to get comfortable. I invite you to know that you are free to move in any way you want. I invite you to breathe in and out through your mouth if that feels comfortable for you. But also know that you can always switch that to breathing in and out through your nose. That slows the process down a little bit. That's wonderful. And as we're breathing, I invite you to find a place of ease. I invite you to find a place of trust, trusting yourself. As you're breathing, thoughts may come up, emotions may arise, sensations within your physical body might come up. All of those are perfectly fine. They're okay. And I invite you to imagine that there's a table in front of you. Anything that comes up for you, you're free to place it on that table, and you can engage with anything you want to or not. Whatever comes up, you're free to just place it on that table. This is a continuous breath. As you're breathing, I invite you to connect with the rhythm. And I also invite you to connect with your own physical body. As you're breathing, I invite you to allow your authenticity to speak to you. Perhaps it speaks to us through our body. allowing our body to connect with our authentic self. Continuing to breathe. Perhaps deepening your breath. simply breathing. And it's all right to give ourselves permission to be authentic. Simply breathing, perhaps we connect to our authenticity through our heart. just being ourselves. Embodying who we are. Continuing to breathe. Can we allow our heart to soften toward ourselves? Not necessarily to who we think we are, but toward who we actually are, our authentic selves. softening into ourselves. This will be our last song for this evening. I invite you at your own pace to begin to come back, perhaps beginning to wiggle your fingers and your toes, allowing for movement, giving yourself space, simply to notice what is there. Perhaps it's noticing authenticity. Perhaps it's noticing what it feels like to embody simply being ourselves. Gently coming back into the present moment. Allowing your breath to return to its normal form of breathing. To simply allow ourselves to come back and to just give space and freedom for what has presented itself to you to be there. And what I'd like to do is offer some gentle integration prompts that you might consider after having gone through this exercise. How am I moving towards authenticity, either internally or externally? How am I moving towards authenticity? The next question is, where do I feel aligned in my body when I live truthfully? What does it feel like to live truthfully in our body? And the last question we can ask ourselves is, how can I support my ongoing relationship with myself, especially when it feels uncomfortable or unclear? How can I support my ongoing relationship with myself? And these are gentle prompts, gentle questions that we can journal about if we'd like, or just allow ourselves to consider, after experiencing, a breathwork session. What do those things feel like? This is not a practice of self-evaluation. It's just simply a listening practice. And yeah, I'd like to invite you to consider that. So at this time, we will sign off. If you'd like, those who are here, in person can just briefly just stay on if they'd like. Um, But for those who are watching on YouTube, I'd like to thank you very much. And we will see everyone next month for the final presentation in our series. Thank you. Take care.